I wanted to talk a little bit about desired future state. Sometimes what we find is what people give us from the prospect side in desired future state isn't always realistic or based in reality. So how do you marry up the desired future state with the realistic future state? What are some explorations that we can do there?
Can you give me an example?
So our business, we effectively kick the doors down and get people meetings with their dream clients. That's what our business does. And sometimes I would ask the question of, if we work together, how would you know it was working? And they might say, well, I'd have sat and closed X amount of meetings in the first month. Now, I know what to say in terms of exploring that, but in your line of work, from your experience, when they would say, right, that's what I think constitutes success, how do I then cross-reference that against what's realistic?
All right, so you didn't use numbers, so I'm gonna guess here. But in the book, I talk about define everything. That's very important. Here's a good example why. But I'm gonna define it for you. So what I would do in that situation is, let's just say they basically you set up meetings is what I'm getting, right? So if someone is only, let's say someone has a sales team of 25 right now, and they're only setting up 17 meetings a week, which means 8 of their salespeople aren't, or SDRs, whatever, aren't setting up meetings at all, right? And 148 or something like that, 146 or something, terrible math, but I think we're almost there. 146, right? Meetings a month against 25 reps. So it should be at least 200 to 400, you know what I'm saying? So they're way off the number. And then, so that's where they are. And you've got all that out. And then, and you said, well, how would we measure success? Well, if we're getting 700 or 800 meetings, right? Then I would say, okay, I love the enthusiasm, but let's talk about this for a second. What makes you believe, or where did that number come from? And I'll get them talking. And I might say, because that is a big stretch. That is an absolute big stretch. Based on our experience in today's world, blah, 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 a realistic number is 1 to 2 meetings a week by rep. Right now, you're doing 0.75, I think if my math is right. And so if we could move you to something more industry average of 1 to 2, that would get you closer to 500, but that's not getting you to 700 or 800. So let's talk about this. Where did that number come from? Why is that number important to you? And let's talk about why we believe it's possible. Because with the existing team and our expertise, I don't think that's something that's possible, but I could be wrong. So I challenge him.
Sounds like what you're saying is almost, we're going to take what you've said and run it through like a lawyer's evidence lens of where's the evidence and the logic in it.
Yes. It's always about the data. That's why I say define everything. That's the whole purpose of defining it. It's all about the data. Everything about gap selling is about the data. Everything. I don't care what it is you sell or who you sell to. It's all about the data.
So does that imply that the modern salesperson needs to be mathematically equipped to have these conversations?
No, because data doesn't always have to be a math equation, right? So here's an example. I had a client who said their future state was to exit at 6 figures in 2020. This is a past client. I talk about him in the book. Exit for 6 figures in 2020 for the 5, I think it was the 5 owners. They were currently at X. They're currently at $10 and they're currently like $25 and needed to get to $40 a year, you know what I'm saying, in revenue. And if they could do that once they crossed, I think it was the $30 or $35 a year revenue, I'm just making up numbers, that their valuation would go from 3 to 5 to 7 to 10. And they had some players in the industry had experienced that. So they knew that it wasn't just about, the multiple 3 to 5x against revenue. They knew after a certain level that multiple also doubled. You see what I'm saying? So I'm really shitty at math. It's to the second power now, I believe, is what that is. So they were really smart about that. So they were very specific that we need to get past to this number to get this type of exit by this time. I don't need to be math. That's just data. This is where we're at. This is where we want to be. This is the reason we want to be there. This is the value to us at being there. This is our current growth rate. Our current growth rate doesn't get us there. Our current growth rate is 20% off. You see what I'm saying? You don't need a mathematical genius. You just got to get the data. Like literally just get the data. You know what it's like? It's like packing for a fucking trip. Some people throw a bunch of shit in the bag and they take off like, oh no, I forgot my bathing suit, right? Other people are like, okay, I'm going to the beach. This is what I need to maximize my experience at the beach. If I don't have this, I'm not in good shape. and they make a list and they go down and they check it. Do I have this? They got it. That's data. That's the data I'm talking about. So as a salesperson, your job is to dig in the current state. Where are you now? How many, like physical and literal? How many reps? What locations? Blah, blah, blah. Problem. What problems do you have? Is it, it depends on what you sell. But what problems? How many of those problems do you have? How big are those problems? Tell me the numbers against those problems, whether it's number of employees, number of mistakes, the fines you pay, like how many fines, how often. Like it's just the data. It's just clearly getting all the information so you can properly assess what's going on, like a therapist. I got to know what's going on in the fucking relationship. And if I don't, I can't help you. I don't know if you're cheating. I don't know if you're talking to each other. I don't know how often you're intimate. I don't know if you tell you each other like each other. I don't know if you hold hands when you go out. I don't know how you discipline the kids. You see what I'm doing? Just give me the data. And then I can properly assess what's going on and tell you what you should do.